Former U.S. Army Sergeant Evan Buetow. He was Sergeant Bergdahl's team leader back when Bergdahl was a private, and he was there the night that Bergdahl vanished. Evan, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So the night this happened, you're all at this small observation post. It consists of two bunkers, a perimeter of military trucks. You're in one of the bunkers. Bergdahl's supposed to be in a pup tent by one of the trucks. How did you learn that he was gone?
The first thing that was said to me was someone had called up to the bunker, which was called OP2, was just the name we had, was our call sign up there. He said, hey, OP2, is Bergdahl up there? I got on the radio and I said, no, he's not up here. And they got back on the radio and said, hey, anybody here at the OP, has anyone seen Bergdahl? I'll never forget that line, has anyone seen Bergdahl? And it didn't take long, the OP being very small, it didn't take long to, search the whole OP. We talked to the Afghan Army personnel who were there as well. Bergdahl liked to hang out with them, and he spoke with them a lot. They hadn't seen him. They didn't know where he was at. And it didn't take long before it came pretty clear that he was gone.
And he was supposed to have been on guard duty that night?
Yes. He was about to go on guard shift. Someone went to wake him up for his shift, and that's when they found out that he was not there.
What was your immediate thought when you learned and the fellow members of your squad and platoon learned that he was gone?
When I heard that he was gone and we didn't find him on the OP, and I went and I talked to my platoon sergeant, and I asked him, I said, is his weapon here? Is his bulletproof vest here? Is his night vision here? And he said, yes, all his sensitive items are here. I immediately knew. I said, he walked away. He walked away.
Why?
It was a gut feeling I had. It's incredibly hard to explain if you didn't know who he was and you weren't there. And I know I don't think some people are going to understand, but all the events that led up and the things that he said and the things that he did prior to him leaving at the time weren't alarming. However, when he comes up missing and all of his sensitive items are left behind, it kind of hit us in the head. It was like a light that went on. Man, he walked away.
What had he said prior to his disappearance that in retrospect might seem particularly interesting? Had he ever talked about his feelings about the war? Had he ever talked about what would happen if somebody disappeared with their gun, with their night vision goggles?
Yes, he did talk about how he did not agree with the war effort in Afghanistan, or the U.S. Army's, the way we were handling our war effort in Afghanistan. He didn't like that. He did come to me at one point and ask me, he said, what would happen if my sensitive items go missing? When you're deployed, if any sensitive item goes missing, it's obviously an incredibly huge ordeal, and there's a lot of backlash, and it's very important that we find those items. It was a little odd that he would ask me that question. It's kind of, any soldier asking that question, it seems pretty rhetorical. You know the answer to that question if you're asking it, but he still asked me. I told him, and it was just one of those other things that once he walked away and we had all those sensitive items left behind, it just kind of made perfect sense.
And Evan, you were part of the immediate search for Bergdahl. Where did you go? What did you learn?
So immediately after we looked at our OP, we couldn't find him. Our platoon sergeant got on the radio, or our platoon leader got on the radio and updated the command. They're like, hey, we're missing a soldier right now. This is what we're doing. We've done an extensive search of the OP. We know he's not here. We immediately pushed out a patrol into the local village. We're kind of running on nothing at this point. We're just trying to find something we can grasp onto to get a direction or something. Immediately as we left the base, two small boys walked up to us, and they told us that they saw an American crawling through the weeds by himself. And they pointed in it. I recall the direction, but they pointed, they said that he was going that way. They were saying that this was very odd to them. They're like, we never see the Americans walking around by themselves. And he was just by himself. He didn't have a weapon with him. He didn't have any armor with him. He was just crawling through the weeds. So at that point, at least we had somewhat of a direction of travel, and we did know that, yes, he's walking away.
Obviously, you didn't find him in the ensuing weeks. Your unit and others scoured the entire province for Bergdahl. Was he the sole object of all the missions that took place in Paktika province over the next several weeks and months, or were there other missions going on as well? And the reason I ask is because you and other soldiers have said, have talked about the 6 men who died, who were killed in the ensuing months. And I'm wondering, were they all specifically necessarily killed looking for Bergdahl, or were there other missions going on?
For what I remember, it was 60 days or more. I remember just straight. All we did was look for Bergdahl. All we were doing is going on leads. I can't say for a fact, and I don't really know if there's anyone who can prove that soldiers died on a directed mission to find Bergdahl. However, every mission, especially in the following two or more months, those were directed missions. Everything after that, they were still missions that were in search of Bergdahl. We were going to certain villages based on intelligence that we received, whether we were there to actively search for Bergdahl or whether we were there just to talk to the locals to see if they knew anything and do a presence patrol. I believe the fact of the matter is, when those soldiers were killed, they would not have been where they were at if Bergdahl had not have left. Bergdahl leaving changed the mission. Those soldiers would not be on those patrols in specific areas when they were killed unless Bergdahl left. And that's a fact to me.
Stay right there. When we come back, more of Bo Bergdahl's former team leader, Sgt Evan Buetow. Next, I will ask him about the uptick in Taliban attacks after Bergdahl disappeared and whether he thinks the soldier, under duress or voluntarily, was giving valuable intelligence to the enemy. Plus,